Alrighty, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Abstraction Cup. We are gonna get this weekend started off on the right foot. We've got our 15th seed, starblazing, going up against our 32 seed, FURRYJOROBA, to see who will be continuing on in this tournament in the losers bracket. As always, my name is Sparky, and I am joined in the commentary booth by this time none other than Dynascape. How's it going, man?
It is going great. To be honest, Sparky, I thought you were gonna put more like oomph in that like flat out screaming.
It's funnier if you just don't.
If you just don't give them the satisfaction of the that it warrants,
exactly.
Based on the capitals.
Like just cut it off as quickly as you can.
Exactly, and well, this is seed 15 versus seed 32. So definitely those FURRYJOROBA on the backseat here, as starblazing has a pretty good team in Arrow, who is very capable when it comes to Rice physicality, and then Unitori, pretty famously, I'm pretty sure at least like a really good LN player from the Philippines. So I think both of them make up a really good team, and then Stoneworm, Hakitsu, I think have been mainstays on the Argentinian MWC team, if I'm not mistaken, either on that front. So it's kind of like pretty like veteran names. I mean, when you're in the Abstraction Cup, like you're just chock full of them, right? Everyone who plays tournaments is in here, so it's no surprise that both these teams have a lot of experience under their belt. So let's see what they want to do for this pick and ban phase.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, these guys very well acquainted with tournaments in general, have been around for quite a while at this point, and it's gonna... Normally I would say this is like a Rice versus LN type battle, but I mean, both teams have players that can cover either side of the skill set, like specializing in one half of the pool or the other. I feel like this might really come down to which of these two teams is gonna basically rip the band-aid off, go for the hybrids. And we see with the bans, what the protects are first, rather. Rice 2 are gonna be the protect for starblazing, and we'll see what the response is. Hybrid 1, LN2 for the ban.
Really interesting hybrid 1 protect coming up from those FURRYJOROBA. If I'm not mistaken, like Stoneworm's like a really good Jack player, so I would have expected something like Wentz, Res 4 maybe on the cards for them, but no. As for Team Red, they are going to take up Rice 2 as their protect. That's the 85-second 263 speedy jump stream map. Just trying to beat them out in a quick and easy Rice battle for that. They're going to ban out Rice 3, so Rice representation for starblazing on both their protect and their ban. And as for the first pick, it does go to Team Blue. I wonder what we want to see from them. Any ideas, Sparky?
I mean, normally I would say Rice 3, but that got banned. Like, it was crazy, because I actually managed to cast this team last weekend, watching Hakitsu, of all people. You were alluding to Stoneworm being like this core jack player, but no, Hakitsu has some ridiculous core jack accuracies. So seeing the ban come through on that, probably more of just kind of like a tip the cap. All right, you guys can have that one. We're just not going to bother playing that today. And the Rice 2 opening pick, just saying, all right, you protected it, thanks, we're gonna go for it.
This is the power move of all time. Like, we always talk about it. when you pick your opponent's protect, it's just it just screams. It has to scream confidence. Because if it's not confidence, then it's just ignorance, right? And so
no, it's the greatest bluff of all time here.
I mean, it has to be.
They're banking. It's like, brother, you're gonna miss, and I'm just not.
Right, exactly. But like from a standpoint of, and I only have 85 seconds to talk about, so I'll be really quick. But from a standpoint of, they were gonna pick it anyways, so you're kind of like wasting, in quotes, your pick. Is just like always insane to me. Starting off with the long jack, And Stoneworm starting off with about the same accuracy as Arrow. Again, not a lot of time. You get right into the action, and it's pretty consistent in its action as well. Like this 263 BPM jump stream is going to hit you hard and fast as it hits Stoneworm. A couple of bad judgments picked up alongside a miss is definitely going to hurt their score, and not a lot of time to make it up.
Absolutely. Arrow holding on to the FC in the lobby. 12,000 points is a good. I mean, that's one of the risks picking a map this short. Just those misses get exacerbated to an extraordinary level. And despite the accuracy recovery being pretty substantial from Stoneworm, dropping down into that low 99% range after that miss, back up close to that 99.7 mark, potentially putting themselves in a position to capitalize if Arrow does capitulate the miss back. But I mean, 99.93 from them, and like I said, it's to protect. It's like it has to be bulletproof of a performance, and Arrow living up to the billing, living up to why they decided to protect this. An eighth of the map left to go, and they are looking untouchable right now despite Stoneworm's best efforts.
Exactly, about 10-15 seconds left. A couple of anchors on the jumps, not catching out Arrow. Are they gonna be able to finish this off with a clean FC? Yes, they are. Even the LNs were very clean at the end too. DDP to pick up the first point against Team Blue. And so a vital mistake coming out from Team Blue as, they tried to show confidence like we talked about. They tried to pull off that power move, but it fails epically. And because of that, they find themselves down a break point. And, well, Team Red up to pick next.
I mean, looking on the bright side, it is a 1-to-6 match now instead of the 1-to-5 from previous weeks. So you do get a little bit of wiggle room, and at the very least, you got rid of their protect. I mean, it counts for something.
Yeah, it counts for something, and yeah, they do have a little bit more leeway. Yeah, I mean, extreme copage, but at least for Team Red, gonna go off with LN3. The high lotto map, I believe this one's pretty dumpy in nature, and we'll see if we get any swaps here. Usually what I've experienced, at least in the matches that I've casted and have watched, is that people will just kind of have, picks where it ends up being like the same three players for, the first three maps, and then they'll do a swap, and then, it's either they'll keep that like Ellen or whatever player, that backup player, in for the other three maps, or they'll do like 3 and then 1 and then 3 again. So Unitory coming in for Arrow. We're gonna see a bit of action from the other people on this team get to as well. So I mean, I don't know how this matchup goes. Like I haven't really analyzed their scores on LN. Obviously I know Unitory is very good, and Kitsu, like I said, has that like veterancy. I just don't know who has like really good capabilities, especially considering this is like MWC semis level.
Yeah, we'll just wait and see. It was one of those. It was a tough matchup for Akitsu last weekend, but able to pull through in their matchups. And I mean, for Unitory, it's kind of the same thing, where it's like we've seen them around for quite a while now. We know what they're capable of. It's just how do they stack up against each other in the context of this particular match? Because if the teams start to notice weaknesses and there's forced substitutions, Unitory finding a slider break on this introduction before the 400 combo cap, and this map is significantly longer than Rise 2, so bit of catch-up work to do from the early offset, but definitely not uncatchable if they do build up their accuracy. Hakitsu has been one of those that holds on to these high combo margins, but kind of lags behind in terms of maybe like sharpshooting accuracy compared to some of the higher seeded teams remaining in this tournament. So we could see a catch up here from Unitory if Hakitsu isn't too careful.
Yeah, that is actually a really good point that you make. And although I did say that this map was flowy, like it is certainly flowy, but one thing I totally forgot about this map is like the amount of inverse tricks within the flow. And so Hakitsu not doing super well with accuracy. I think Unitory has bounced back very well despite the miss, but then Hakitsu has taken quite the act drop. So now things are kind of a bit closer, as this goes on, because even though Unitori missed, it was an early miss, so not that much damage was done. And if this keeps up, Unitori might be able to take it within a couple hundred notes.
Yeah, absolutely. A third map left to go. Unitori has shrunk this lead, what was 4,000 points, down to about 500 just by virtue of that accuracy gap that has begun to develop. And crucially, the timing of the miss coming to fruition as we jump into this Ki section. And it is now Unitori's lead, 2,900, 3,000 points in their favor off the back of the accuracy low, but they find multiple misses going into this outro to give the lead back to Hakitsu. They still have the accuracy advantage on their side. They need to rebuild, but it is tantalizingly close now between these two players going into the last 8th.
I mean, you see it here. Unitori has reached the 400 combo cap. Things are swinging back and forth, maybe even a bit towards Unitori's side. I don't know if this ending is hard enough for anyone to really swing things over, and well, it's trying to end off last little chord, and wow, was it not showing Hakitsu for like the last 100 notes, Sparky? Am I not crazy?
Oh,
what happened?
Goodness, it's the accuracy, 0.3%. It's the slider breaks, everything coming to fruition. Just a couple extra 200s for the road for Hakitsu being the undoing. Oh god, 600 points right at the end.
No way, and like
that hurts.
I mean, yeah, that's gotta put a damper on things for Team Blue, and they really needed that too, especially after the break points. Essentially, I mean, not really throwing a pick, but kind of, firing off a pick in that it was Team Red's protect. It's looking pretty rough, but they still have hope, and they're gonna send out a hybrid 2 pick pretty quickly, all things considered. They're feeling the hybrids today.
Yeah, I was alluding to it at the top of the broadcast. It's like whichever these two teams really establishes a foothold on these hybrids might have a bit of a bigger avenue to work with. I mean, for what it's worth, we might have this develop into that Rice versus LN where it's like we saw Rice 2 come through. That was a bit of a, I don't want to say a blowout. It wasn't that big of a score difference, but I guess in the context of these two maps, it's like that was definitely a much more convincing performance. And I mean, it hurt. The one that really hurts is losing that LN3 pick by that close of a margin, because if you're kind of banking on being able to respond back with LNs, the fact that starblazing can contest on those picks as well, if this doesn't go blue team's way, then we're really cruising for a bruising here for them, as starblazing successfully capitalizes on that break point, make it 2-0. Arrow comes in for the hybrid to go up against Hakitsu now.
Yeah, 100% Team Blue needs to convert this pick, and I was questioning whether or not Unitori or Arrow would be playing this, mostly because of the sheer physicality of this map, at least in terms of hybrids. There's a lot of shields, it's very, very jacky. Even though there is a lot of LN representation, there's a big barrier to entry when it comes to physicality with this map, and the fact that it goes on for 3 minutes as well is something to be noted. So both Arrow and Hakitsu pretty close together, but we'll really see who can shift the tide as long as the shields come out, especially during some of these Ki sections, and more likely towards like that last fourth of the map when you're really banking on your stamina reserves to be upkept.
Yeah, right now really strong starts for both players. Definitely a much better showing for Hakitsu this time around in terms of accuracy. They managed to hold on to the FC, and the fact that the FC goes unrewarded in the previous map definitely wants to make amends for that. And 2 for 2 now for them, lacking a little bit behind in terms of accuracy, at least in comparison to Arrow, but definitely a much higher floor for them to work with. It's just a matter of how high the ceiling goes for them in terms of where they can cap out in terms of their accuracy, because right now Arrow is starting to widen the gap a little bit just by maintaining this pace that they've started off with. 99.8 for them, 99.66 for Hakitsu. Half the map still left to go, but Arrow finds the drop. out of the transition into the section, and now Hikitsu holds on to the lead for now. Is this going to be another story similar to LN3?
Yeah, will we see shades of last map? I mean, again, it's about like a 1,500, 2,000 point lead, but now that Arrow... Oh! This is something we haven't seen before. Hikitsu actually trading the miss back, and obviously with the accuracy difference, that spells something pretty bad for Team Blue. As we get into a little break section, we can assess the damage. About 4,000 points have flipped over to Team Red and Arrow. As long as they don't make any crazy mistakes, they should be able to lock in this last about a fourth of the map and potentially take this point.
Yeah, crucially, I mean, even if they were to find the drop, I mean, it's late enough in the map, and they have this accuracy gap. Hikitsu finding yet another drop. That's not who you want to find the misses here. They needed to hang on as best as they could. Now lagging behind even further, 11,000 points on this hybrid 2 pick, not working out in their favor as we make their way into the outro here. Starblazing looking to get yet another breakpoint in the bag and really start turning the screw on this blue team.
Arrow's going to finish it off with about a 13,000 point win over Hikitsu. And that's even with the miss as well. I mean, you just look at the miscount and you look at the other bad judgments and just domination on all fronts there. So Arrow really showing that they can deal with the physicality. Maybe they're not the most consistent on it, you know, especially considering that they missed, but they have a really good score regardless. Like 987 on quarterfinals in a pool that's supposed to be harder than MWC. Yeah, I mean, we'll take it any day of the week. And so with that third point, Team Red is also granted yet another pick. I mean, last time they tried LN3, maybe they'll go back to some of these LNs. LN1, LN4 still open, but of course with their Rice to Protect being taken, maybe they want to hit back on another physical map, because it seems like that's where they get those dominant victories. I mean, Iberica was a 13,000 point win. This one right here, also 13,000 points. So Rice 7 seems to be their choice.
Yeah, you were alluding to it very well there, where they would just go back into these more physical Rice picks and just see how far they can push the envelope in terms of the comfort level for Los FURRYJOROBA. And Rice 7 seems like a pretty good option. I imagine Arrow's going to stay in. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw Stoneworm check in for this one, unless Hikitsu has more comfort on this overall pick. They do have acumen for the physical, and just wait and see.
Yeah, I think something that you said was that Hikitsu is like really good at jack accuracy, and I was trying to think about it last year for MWC, and I'm just like, I'm pretty sure just like Team Argentina was disgusting at early game core jack accuracy. Like thinking about it now, they were like crazy, like you know, like top 3 or 4 in those first couple of weeks. And so Rice 7 here, you know, it's pretty hard. It's a Marcinho map, 1.1. You know, you got a Cure Complex. It's very dumpy. It's very bursty. Lots of things thrown at you. It's just how it is when it's the wild card pick. And so we'll see how these guys do. Don't expect these accuracies to be the same once we get really into these harder sections. And hopefully Team Blue can make something out of it.
You were saying hopefully don't have the accuracies be the same, Dyna. They're basically they're kind of the same right now, my guy.
I just really thought that I thought, you know, the notes, the density, the patterning. No, not at all.
It's like this wasn't in the script, but Hikitsu finds the drop on this next burst, giving Arrow a bit of breathing room to work with. It is a relatively clean drop, only losing about 0.1%, but that is still crucial time. Needing to catch up to that 400 combo cap to start getting full credit for their judgments once again. We're past the opening section of this map. I completely forgot how long this one is, clocking in close to 4 minutes, so recovery room is there, but I don't think they can afford to find any more drops unless, I mean, oh my goodness, Arrow finding the trade back, and a pretty dirty 1-2 boot in comparison to Hakitsu's earlier drop, and now Hakitsu has a bit of a cushion to work with now.
Yeah, very condensed drops, all things considered, so it wouldn't be as much as, 2 drops in separate sections. However, the damage has been done, and oh, here we go. This is the really, really funny part where you just kind of do those little trills, and then we'll see a long jack at the very end of this section. Let's see if these guys hit it. I have my breath is held.
Yeah, it's always a bit of a heart-in-mouth moment when you see these two-hand trills convert into one hand. You get the little syncopated patterns as well in the middle just to try and throw you off your game here, but both of them handling it relatively well, approaching that long jack. Both of them hit it, transitioning into the last third of the map. It is Hakitsu still with the accuracy advantage, 2,000 points, but Arrow is starting to make up some ground here. There's still plenty of time for them to make some inroads here, and both players have found at least one miss in this map. Who is going to hold on to their composure just that little bit longer? Who can see it through the end as we make our way into this final section?
Yeah, Kitsu really needs to push and dig in deep because there's only a fourth left in the map. You're down 0-3. You really want to secure this point for your team. And I think this last fourth is nothing crazy from what we've seen before, but it's still very dumpy in nature, still pretty bursty, all things considered. And as long as they stay at this accuracy, don't have any drops, I think they can take it, because 2,000 points seems like if Hakitsu were to have a late drop, maybe Arrow wouldn't have enough time to salvage it, but they've been climbing in accuracy.
Oh no!
The miss from Arrow, the late miss from Arrow, and another one. That's got to be the nail in the coffin, Sparky. 7,000, 8,000 points. The lead is climbing. The damage has been done. Hakitsu has survived the gauntlet of Rift.exe. Maybe I've spoken too soon.
Wait, hold on. Hakitsu late miss. Is there enough time? No, I don't think there's enough time with these last couple of bursts coming through. It's 4,000 points. Oh my goodness, I don't want to say anything. I don't want anybody to miss anymore. It is Hakitsu holding on there at the very end.
Oh, baby.
Oh, boy. All right. We got to fight now. It is 3-1. There are signs of life. The break point going the way of the blue side. And, oh my lord. Oh, man. All right.
Wow.
All right.
It suddenly got like really hot in here. I'm like airing myself out. Like what? Oh my, what a map that was. Back and forth action throughout, but I mean, Hakitsu did really, really well. Really, it's about that miss minimization, because still beat out on that MA and also even like 200 and good count. So the consistency on the 4 minimap is what mattered the most and really led to Los FURRYJOROBA taking that point. That's a break point too, so they're gonna get a pick as well. They took Hybrid 2, and they also did Rice 2. So what do you go on if you're Team Blue? Because it's the picks have been so like all over the place from each team that I don't have a read on these guys.
Well, we know one thing for sure. Stoneworm has to play this next map, so I imagine, given the propensity for Hakitsu to play these LN hybrids, it's gonna be one of these Rice picks. It's just a matter of which one are they the most comfortable playing right now. As like the fact that we haven't seen them since the very beginning of the match. I mean, Rice 2 wasn't horrible. Maybe something like Rice 1 as a potential pick. They have Hybrid 1 as their protect, so we'll have to wait and see what they decide to go for, but this has to be something that they're comfortable with, so just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the MA from Stoneworm on that jump stream map of Rice 2, and they only had about like 20% more 300s than Arrow. So definitely, as long as Arrow kind of has that performance, like inconsistency from a map like this, where we just saw, they took a lot more misses than, greats, that, it's very much doable for Stoneworm. They just kind of need to find the map set in which they have the best consistency And they're thinking it's going to be on this Gwill map of Flow, which is very, very dumpy.
Yeah, not surprised to see the Rice 1 here from Stoneworm. I imagine just something a little bit more straightforward in comparison to something like Rice 7, where you kind of leave those to Hikitsu, who's looked more than capable of swinging those styles of picks, and kind of just leave Stoneworm to clean up the rest of the map picks whenever they do need to come in. So for right now, get through this introduction pretty calm in comparison to everything else we have seen. Kind of catch our breath. It's been a wild couple of picks, and both of them handling that burst transition into this next segment still relatively neck and neck, and I imagine there's going to be very little separating them as we get into the real meat and potatoes of this map.
100%. Like, yes, this map is really bursty and really dumpy, but I think Arrow and Stoneworm have very much shown that they can handle these kinds of patterns. They can handle this density. For the most part, it is 1/8 at 172 BPM, so we're looking at 344 bursty sections. But, I mean, you can just tell Arrow and Stoneworm are very much in sync. 99.77 for each of them. An accuracy where I'd say that they're pretty comfortable, all things considered. I do think that there is an upgrade in density in the back half, but we'll just have to see how they do once they get there, because there's not a lot thrown at them in sections like these.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to, yes, the hard parts are going to be hard. They're always going to be hard for players of this caliber, but I imagine it's really going to come down to the nitty-gritty, those calmer sections where you're really having to lock in, and with how close these two are, every single judgment is going to matter. The fact that we can call 200s a mistake between these two players just goes to show how hard they are pushing each other to really maximize these performances. It is 200% going into the last quarter of the map. There is virtually nothing separating these two as we begin the build up into this outro.
Yeah, this is where someone can really take the map. Like you said, there's so much finesse needed in parts like these, but now is where you need speed and power as well. Stoneworm not able to hang on to that burst section. Gonna take a lot of bad judgments. Gonna take a miss even, dropping down to 99.43. Arrow seems like they're doing just fine. They're able to handle this, but 16,000 point lead for Team Red, and we're ending the map already. Stoneworm did so much to keep it up with Arrow, even having the slightest bit of a lead up to until 3/4 of the map. But as you can see, when some of these patterns got really hard, it just could not keep up.
Yeah, it was one of those, they were just hanging on for dear life. We saw the first signs, a couple of bad judgments beginning to rain down, and then the misses started coming through. I mean, it's not how you start, it's how you finish, and Arrow just having the cleaner finishes to these Rice maps, just close to being untouchable on them, at least for the moment, and it is now 4-1.
So now this is kind of where it sets in and gets pretty scary for Team Blue, because if you remember, they almost took LN3. It was really, really close. And this could have been a wildly different landscape if that had happened. But now, with Team Red up to pick, they've got Rice 4. They want to pick Wentz. They're looking to try to get to match point, and this might be a good one to do it on, especially after winning by 25,000 on Flow.
Yeah, and I think starblazing, losing track of how many maps in a row Arrow has played. So, gonna see the 4 swap out. I mean, thankfully understand they doesn't need much explaining. It's like, did 3? All right, cool. I guess we'll hop out. And Unitory, I mean, no slouch on the Rice either. So gonna see them in here. They're gonna stick with the Rice 4 pick. For better or for worse, Hakitsu gonna tag back in for Los FURRYJOROBA. Stoneworm doing a valiant effort, trying their best to hang on to that last pick, but gonna see if Hakitsu can kind of pick up the pieces and get another breakpoint. I mean, we'll see what happens. Unitori,
I mean-
not the happiest about being here right now. Would probably much rather be playing the hybrids or the LNs, or at least
Yeah.
something that I mean, I imagine on paper this is an arrow pick, but hey, you got to keep track of something sometimes, guys. So we'll see how it goes.
Feels like that bit where they pull Arrow off of the stage with the cane.
Yeah.
And then they just drop Unitorian like, hey, like, what the heck, guys? So, best case scenario for Team Blue, right?
Yeah, you catch starblazing on a pick where, I mean, honestly, I don't want to say uncomfortable. Like I said, Unitori more incapable of swinging Rice performances, but I mean, back foot potentially. If you're the blue team, you kind of want to grab onto anything that you can. So a pretty good opening opportunity to grab another breakpoint potentially. But as we get into this one, I mean, more of the same on these Rice picks. It feels like everybody in this tournament is just so good at Rice nowadays. It's insane.
It really does. And something I had alluded to earlier was that, you know, both of these guys are really good at jacks.
Yeah.
And, you know, Team Red went ahead and picked the jack map. And so, you know, I'm sure Arrow was probably pretty confident in taking Hakitsu on a map like this and probably would have been at around a 99.95-ish. However, with Unitori being in and maybe not being as practiced on this, like not expecting to play this map, yeah, they are a very physical player. They are very good. It's just that they weren't really ready for it, like mentally, physically, whatever. And so that might be leading to Team Blue having this 1100 point lead. And, you know, a third of the map left. It's going to take a couple 200s, maybe even a miss from Akitsu for things to change.
I don't know about you. If me being cold and not ready for a map is 99.88% accuracy on 150 BPM core jack, slap me, cause I don't think I could do this even with like a year of prep. So, actually, hold on, we missed a crucial transition moment. Hakitsu finding an accuracy drop, holding on to the FC. Now Unitori has 400% to work with going into this outro. Just one bad chord causing a whole bunch of disarray. That being said, Hakitsu starting to climb back up is 300%. Unitori gonna be able to steal this at the 11th hour. 1100 points. What was 1100 points in favor of Hakitsu swings the other way. And it is now match point for starblazing off of the back of that outro. That is wild.
Yeah, my jaw dropped when I saw those two 200s and 100s. But for Team Red, task failed successfully, maybe, with getting that 5th point notched in, right?
What was the saying? All according to Keikaku.
There we go. TL note, Keikaku means plan. So all according to plan for starblazing as they blaze their way through to the 5th point. And although they don't have this next pick up, it is match point. So those FURRYJOROBA really have to dial in what their best chance at surviving in this round would be.
And they have Hybrid 1. That was their protect. I mean, maybe. I mean, it grasping at straws. It feels like, because they've met their match on every single map outside of Rice 7. So it's like, do you go for standard Rice? Do you go for tech Rice? Do you go for some funky LN? No, they go for the protect. So Hybrid 1 is going to be the pick here.
And I'm trying to think of the matchup because, you know, it's probably going to be Unitori and Akitsu. And with a map like this where it's like it's a full of hybrid, right? Like the releases matter so much. It's pretty flowy. There's not a lot of shields involved, but like the amount of quick finger switches, you know, the trilliness of this map, I could totally see. And actually, Arrow's coming in for this instead of Unitori. I could totally see Hakitsu dominating on something like this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just going to be keeping that miscount to an absolute minimum. We've seen both teams have a propensity to find these little hiccups here and there. They started off great. It felt near impossible for them to miss, but now it's like it's these little cracks appearing here and there in the performances. I imagine just a mixture of nerves. These maps are really, really hard. So trying and knowing that you cannot make a mistake on a map pool like this, it just leads to these little moments, these little punches and counter punches between the two of them. And so far, starblazing has been in that position to really just capitalize on those opportunities just ever so slightly more. We alluded to it earlier in the match. It's like it could be a completely different story with a couple of these map picks where just one thing here or there going slightly different, and we have a completely different ball game. But unfortunately, this is what we're faced with right now. Starblazing on match point situation. Arrow with a 2,000 point lead over Hakitsu out of this introduction. Going into the second quarter of the map, it is 0.2% separating both players with their FCs intact. Who's gonna blink first here?
Well, hopefully for Team Blue, it's Arrow, because Hakitsu on a tightrope. You know, they're at match point and they're wobbling a little bit too much. I've been seeing a lot of late releases from them. I think the physicality might be a bit too hard. Like, it is 256 BPM and a lot of it feels very density heavy on the LN side, and also a lot of jump streams as well. And it seems like they can't handle it as well as Arrow. So we're about halfway in. 99.73 to 99.5, and that's going to spell out a 4,000 point difference. When we're talking about 4,000 point differences on like 2.5 minute maps, that's like pretty much as a miss. So Hakitsu really can't win by virtue of accuracy at this point. It's all up to Arrow. Like, the onus is on them. The basketball is in their court for them to make a mistake so that Hakitsu can still take the map.
There's like a tiny bit of wiggle room. It's like every 100% is a couple hundred points here and there. Last quarter of the map left to go. Last quarter of the map potentially for Los FURRYJOROBA and their tournament life here. As we make our way into this outro, it is still 4,500 points in favor of starblazing. And I mean, it wants to shrink so badly, but Arrow is doing everything in their power to hang on. They have been so consistent at everything that has been thrown at them so far. And as these last couple of patterns begin to rain down, it's looking like it's going to be the end. Starblazing is going to take the match by a score of 6-1 and knock Los FURRYJOROBA out of the Abstraction Cup in the first step of quarterfinals.
Man, and you know what? I'm just gonna say it. Let this be a lesson to everyone else playing this weekend to not pick your opponent's protect. I think like the bad juju started when that happened. Like there was something in the air once that pick came out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, kudos for them for trying. I mean, they swung for the fences, and sometimes you just whiff. And I mean, like we were saying, it's like a couple of notes here or there, a slider break that doesn't happen, or a miss or an FC that manages to hang on. Is like 6-1 feels harsh for how close some of those maps got and how hard in mouth some of those moments were. But hey, kudos to starblazing, rolled with the punches, were able to capitalize on the opportunities that were given to them, and their weekend's not done. They've got another matchup later on this weekend. See if they can win that one, punch their ticket into the semifinals. But this will be the end of the line for Los FURRYJOROBA. Hopefully they enjoyed their time in the tournament. It was a pleasure watching them play.
Yeah, especially on that map LN3, like they showed that they have the chops, they have what it takes to go toe-to-toe with a team like seed number 15. So yeah, great showing from them. Close 6-1, all things considered. But as we look over to the rest of the schedule, we've got a lot more matches coming up. Obviously, this was the first match of the weekend, and we've got one 2 hours from now. And of course, obviously, all throughout Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday, and even a couple on Monday before the showcase. So make sure to check out what you can, because we'll be live for a large portion of this weekend. And obviously with the quarterfinals, I mean, come on now, the seedings are getting closer, the matches are getting closer, like you just saw. You can't miss out.
Absolutely. So until then, we'll take a break for now. We'll be back in a couple hours. It is going to be user_114514 going to begin Tacos de Pipsash Boom. So stick around. Until then, catch you guys later.